News now at this hour begins in the west of the continent, where armed terrorists suspected to be members of Boko Haram launched a violent assault on the Jakana police station in Gungala local government area of Borno State, Nigeria on Sunday. According to reports, the attackers killed the police driver and female acquaintance. At this point, we are now joined by our correspondent who has been monitoring the situation, Umaru Kirawa, who will be giving us the updates now. Umaru, thank you so much for joining us on the news. Quite devastating, I must say, what has happened right there at the police station. I'd like us to give us updates of the extent of damage done in that particular area.
Well, it's a well-known fact that the terrorists invaded the police station yesterday night, leading to the death of 2 individuals at the police station. And right behind me now, you can see 2 vehicles which were burnt down by the terrorists. Here you can see is one of the vehicles that was burnt down. It was set ablaze by the insurgents. And here is another vehicle which is also burnt down. And the other one, they tried to move with it. They tried to cut away with the vehicle. However, they were unable to go away with the vehicle. They tried shooting the tank, expecting to burst the car. Unfortunately, it has not, and they tried all effort to move away with the cars, but unfortunately, it failed. So they decided to burn down the cars, and then they had to leave away because of the gunpowder by the men of the police and other officers here in Jakana. But right now, the situation is that of a normal situation where people go about their normal businesses in Baga. However, the gunshots have been very is worse because we've learned that they use RPGs and other high equipment, and they came in large number, leading to the death of 2 persons here.
So I'm actually wondering why they would attack a police station. Has there been any word from the Commissioner of Police as regards this? Because a few people would want to know why would they actually go for a police station? Maybe it's a strategic place when it comes to the security architecture of the states or something. Anything that helps us understand the need why they had to attack that place.
Well, it is important to note that this is not the first time the terrorists are attacking security outposts. And most importantly, even this Jakana police station, they have been trying to invade, to take over. However, the security forces have been strong enough to stem their tide and then to take charge of this place. But it was an unfortunate scenario that led to the death of 2 individuals.
So, of course, how did the security forces respond to this particular attack? Was there some sort of reinforcement to actually decimate them or deal with them in time?
Yes, there have been reinforcement, and most importantly, even the Maiduguri, Auno to Jakana road, we've seen heightened security presence, and of course, checks and patrols have been intensified by the armed forces on the road. They've even checked our booths, and they ask questions, they look at passengers, and so on and so forth. So by and large, they have intensified security measures, but much really need to be done because, as the saying goes, an enemy, no matter how great or small it should never be underestimated, so as to take proactive measures and then tackle the situation of killing of lives and then burning down of properties worth millions of naira.
In situations like this, what we'll still want to confirm, aside from the car or the vehicles that they were trying to take away, and of course, the ones that they burned, was there a situation whereby they were able to access the armory or maybe steal any of the ammunition? If they're trying to take over a particular place, then there must be one cogent reason for that. Maybe that ever happened.
Well, I can't really give much detail in terms of catering away with ammunitions and so on and so forth. But the fact is, they went through with one motorcycle, and then other details I can't give confirmation for now. But by and large, what the terrorists are doing now, to many, is that they are trying to create that sense of presence to the mentality of the people that the terrorists are still on ground. But the hope is peace will be maintained, peace will be sustained, taking into consideration the massive number of surrender by the insurgents. Presently, we have over 162,000 of the Boko Haram terrorists who have surrendered, and to the armed forces, this is one of the good news that the terrorists are surrendering. However, much really need to be done to tackle some of the marauding elements of the terrorists in the outskirts of towns and villages, so as farming activities to pick up, and then people go about their normal day-to-day activities after over 15 years of this unfortunate security concern.
Okay, so Maru, we also heard that there was another attack at the entrance of Gungala overnight. I'd like you to also touch on that, give us an update on what happened in that particular area.
Yes, similar incident by suspected terrorists happened also at Gungala yesterday, based on intelligence information I got, and of course, the video clip you are seeing is that of Gungala, where they burned down hundreds of vehicles, and a lot of properties were burned down by the insurgents because of the closure of the gate by security forces at that time, because they have time in which they close the gates. When it is 7, they close the gate, and any other vehicle have to wait until tomorrow to enter. So immediately the gate was closed, people have to wait, and then in the night, the terrorists just came and then burned down all those vehicles, cut away with foodstuffs and other things that they can go with, and then that's it.
Now, this is quite interesting. Now, we're seeing that the Nigerian army is trying as much able to see as many insurgents that might be willing to surrender and probably rehabilitated, because we know there's a program ongoing on that. But then we're seeing a series of attacks happen in Borno State. What does that say about the security state, of course, in Borno State? And how are people even living their lives with these sort of attacks happening in and around their villages and communities?
Well, it is quite unfortunate, but to most communities, things are getting better, because the attacks are gradually reducing to their lowest ebb, because then they used to displace whole communities. But of this in Jacana now, I interviewed many residents. They are not even aware of the attack to the police station. This goes to tell you how resilient the communities are. Be that as it may, a lot more need to be done in terms of actually clearing all the remnants of the Boko Haram terrorists, and of course, reorientation is critical in this aspect. So as some of them who are still fighters, they should understand that what they are doing is wrong. Killing human being or catering away with is thief, and so on and so forth. So much need to be done in terms of awareness creation, sensitization, continuous and sustained engagement with the communities, so as to see the end of this madness, to see the end of this unfortunate security concern in Borno and other communities in the Lake Chad.
And with this kind of carnage that we're seeing in Borno State, what has been the response of government in terms of humanitarian needs for the people affected, the businesses? Because we see vehicles that I want to believe are probably stuffed up with food items, or maybe those who are actually using these vehicles for businesses or something. One would want to wonder the amount of losses that would have gone into this particular heinous act. So is the Borno State government doing anything in order to help those who are affected by this particular incident in terms of probably, reaching out to them, resuscitating them, rehabilitating them, providing money for them to get back on their feet with this level of destruction that we just witnessed?
It is a whole lot of concern, and like the governor will always say, Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Azulum, he always say that all hands need to be on deck, and the Borno now is recovering, and not only the government, international communities need to support the government, because even the governor, as I speak to you, he slept in Manguno town. They went there to distribute food items to over 30,000 persons. So the humanitarian situation is something else. However, much needs to be done in terms of supporting the government, and most importantly, the people are resilient. What they need from the discussion I had with them is they need farm implements, they need support to pick up the pieces of their lives, and they will never give up. This is what they are saying. They said there is one death. No matter what they do, they will die. So they will have to strive for survival. They are waiting for support to go back to farm. While the government, yes, is doing much in supporting them, but much really need to be done in terms of coming up with strategies and deploying good things to support the people so as to pick up the pieces of their lives and then forget the retrogressive activities of the insurgents in Borno and other communities in the Lake Chad.
Okay, so I'm going to let you go, Maru, but then let me just quickly chip this in. I've seen you relate with a couple of the Nigerian army, the personnel, and I'm gone through their routines in terms of documenting how they're trying to deal with the issue around insurgency in the, of course, in Borno State and along the borderline leading into Lake Chad. So I'd like to find out what is the intelligence gathering like for the security personnel in that area, because it would be needful if they're able to have enough information to nip situations like this before it happens, rather than have it happen. They were trying to mop up the gain, or the pains rather. So of course you have interacted with them. I'd like to find out, how has it been for them in trying to identify the enclaves or where these insurgents stay, and try as much as possible to apprehend them so that they don't go on perpetrating this?
Well, based on intelligence information, the Nigerian army has went to the Sambisa forest within the last 3 months, about 22 times into the Sambisa forest. But coming out with a lot of people, we've reported the Nigerian army handing over victims of insurgency to the Borno State government, taking them out of the enclaves of the insurgents, and of course, some Boko Haram and other fighters surrendering. However, there are still remnants of these insurgents marauding the communities in the Lake Chad, hiding under the guise of farmers sometimes. But the armed forces are really trying, because even recently they engaged community at the Memalari military cantonment on how to tackle issues of improvised explosive devices, IEDs, and what they need to do in terms of actually informing the security forces on how to tackle the situation, taking into example of what happened in Goza and so on and so forth. But then much really need to be done in terms of continuous engagement, continuous awareness creation, sustained intelligence gathering, and of course, empowerment of communities, youth groups, and so on and so forth.
Marikara, thank you so much for the update on this. We know that we'll be connecting with you to get more details as the day goes by on this, but then we want you to keep safe and keep your head high. Many thanks for staying with us. We'll now tell you that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and oil marketers have blamed the ongoing fuel scarcity in Lagos and the Federal Capital Territory on disruptions in supply at key depots. Reports indicate that some oil marketers and transporters have reduced the number of trucks dispatched to load petrol, anticipating a planned statewide hunger protest. Some PMS dealers have instructed their drivers to park their trucks, particularly those transporting fuel from coastal depots in the south to the hinterlands in the north. According to oil marketers, this reduction in fuel distribution has contributed to the long queues at petrol stations in regions including Abuja, Nasarawa, Niger, Lagos, and Ogun. The NNPCL stated that the fuel queues were also caused by hitches in the discharge operations of a couple of vessels. The company assured that it is working round the clock with all stakeholders to resolve the situation and restore normalcy in operations. And I will be talking to Benga Joe, who is a petroleum products expert. Hello, Benga. Good evening to you. Okay, so I think we just lost connection with, of course, Benga, but we'll try to see how to bring him back on to have him talk to us about that. But then we'll move on with the stories anyway. The Amnesty International has warned against threatening protesters, saying doing so would undermine the legacy of President Bola Tinubu. Since the End Bad Governance in Nigeria, which started gaining traction on social media, many top government officials have advised against the demonstrations, arguing that the protests could be hijacked by hoodlums. They urged the citizens to have faith in the current administration, noting that the president is committed to addressing the welfare and concerns of Nigerians. However, the chairman of Amnesty International in Nigeria, Awal Musa Rafsanjani, commended security agencies for democratically conducting themselves. Ahead of the planned End Bad Governance nationwide protest in August, human rights lawyer Adebola has asked the Nigerian Communications Commission to probe telecommunication operators' alleged disconnection of subscribers. In a statement on Sunday, the senior advocate of Nigeria warned that telcos should not attempt to sabotage the forthcoming protest against economic hardship in Nigeria by restricting internet access among displeased citizens. The senior lawyer said the contract between telecom operators and their subscribers remains sacrosanct and should not be tampered with arbitrarily. The senior lawyer had written security agencies requesting protection for protesters under the umbrella of the Take It Back movement come next month. And now, amidst the apprehension of a planned nationwide protest, the All Progressives Congress has urged organizers to reconsider the demand for President Bola Tinubu to scrap the 1999 Constitution, describing it as a tall order. The party's National Secretary, Adebola Basiru, conveyed this message in Abuja after a meeting with the Forum of APC state chairmen to discuss the protest's modalities. Bashiru said the renewed call for the president to abandon the constitution he swore to uphold is a mission impossible, as President Tinubu alone lacks the authority to unilaterally discard or alter the 1999 constitution. He also emphasized that the 15 demands outlined by the protest organizers are not issues to be addressed through protest. Joining us on the news is a legal practitioner, Elvis Asia, to share his thoughts on this. Elvis, thank you so much for joining us on the news. Hello, Elvis, can you please unmute your device so that we can hear you? Or check your audio level. Elvis, can you please say something? All right, so we'll try to get back to Elvis to also talk about this two big stories that we may need to touch during the course of the news today. But then We move on to tell you that no fewer than 250 undergraduates drawn from different tertiary institutions across Nigeria benefited from the training and mentoring session on legal migration organized by the Nigerian government. This is as the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission organized the maiden edition of its Youth Empowerment Summit, meant to curb the excesses of illegal migration, known in Nigeria's local parlance as Japa. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
It's the last day of Nigeria's National Diaspora Day celebrations, and the day focuses on the youths who have been identified as citizens most interested in migration.
We want to stay back here, but it's hard. Let me just use the word hard.
These youths have been trained and mentored on proper ways to migrate, or Japa as it is popularly known in Nigeria.
Theme is Japa phenomenon, so it's important to get them together and talk to them. This is about mentorship, and you could see it was very impactful. You know, where are opportunities? Where can they find opportunities? What can they do? What are the best options? So, in fact, we had 250 this year. We already said we're going to make it 500 next year.
So we believe in unlocking the potential for youth and all of the promise here in Nigeria, and so we support this event for that reason, to motivate young people.
The mentoring session was led by diasporans, many of them with a lot of success story to tell.
Because there is no easy way out. If it was easy, everybody would do it, and I know our brothers and sisters can do it if they're patient and have faith.
So how did I migrate? A company came in Nigeria, and I set up their cybersecurity function. Their group CEO came and said, look, what you did in Nigeria, can you help us do it at the group level? And so the company paid for me to move to Dubai. And so they relocated me and my entire family, and that was how I left. And then from Dubai, another country took me to the UK. So it was legal.
What I did was I persevered. Even there was a time I was even like homeless for a moment. But later on, I got a job. I got 3 jobs. I started a small home improvement business. I started buying real estate. Now I own several real estate, right? And then because of looking back at what God has done for my life, I realized that the more I do for others, the more blessings.
Participants were happy to give an overview of what they learned.
Especially about Japa phenomenon, about what to go when someone tell you that you can go outside there, there's better opportunities there. Just like when Mr. Planner has said, you can go to the embassy for better and more information. Yeah.
So my key takeaway is, irrespective of everything that we are going through in this country, Nigeria is still loved and Nigeria can still be a better place.
Later in the day, it was time to honor Nigerians that have represented the country well while in the diaspora.
And what I see that is missing in the youth of our nation is that they don't know how to ask the right people for help. You all didn't get to where you are without standing on someone's shoulder. Is there anyone here who is an achiever that did it all by themselves? You have to. I got help to be who I am today. They should know how to ask for help. Despite I asked her, I saw what she's doing, how can I help? Even before I went to Sierra Leone, she was the one who told the diaspora, the members there to come see me. And they made a request, which they didn't know the full story, which I did oblige them. And the hospital they requested for, he's here today as an award recipient. And the hospital, you know, I just asked now, and he said it's doing well. So I pray that, I don't know whether it's completed yet, but I wish you all the very best. So recently, some of our girls returned home from Ghana, and she said if they could have a bus to convey them back home, it will be easier. They don't need to stay that long. And I think the award recipient from Ghana is here. So I made a phone call. I told her, I said, well, maybe I have to deplete our account from the Renewed Hope Initiative. We don't have as much money, but whatever we have, we use it to work. I don't know how much they sell a bus, a 27-seater Toyota bus right now, but I made a phone call to one of our Board of Trustee members and of Mr. Remi Makonjola of Calverton Helicopters, and he said he's going to make that donation to you. So they have a bus coming. So all it takes for us, even our young people, always ask for help.
It was indeed a moment of joy for many in attendance from the diaspora. Many of them agree that it is right to return back home and give back to their society. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Local businesses in Baga town are facing severe challenges due to a shortage of lower denomination naira notes. Vendors and small business owners report that the lack of 20, 50, 100 and 200 naira notes is creating difficulties in daily transactions. News Central's Mark Karawa, Ultravast, Baga and other Nigerian border towns on the shores of Lake Chad in Borno State reports.
A good news from Baga town and other communities in the shores of the Lake Chad is that the fear of attack by insurgents is becoming a whole chapter of history. The rural dwellers engage in their age-old farming and fishing for survival. Furso Ibrahim, a 50-year-old renowned tailor in Baga town, whose means of survival, among other of his colleagues, destroyed by insurgents, narrate his ordeals.
Kusa an fi wani lokodi wani keke dure durikin. Tun zaman Yakubu ga wannan keke durikin da har kura kadi. Sanya gade abi madikin ma ba. Keken de bula la dutiya na sama yin mandiya duzana ladin. Sama sabsa kwanun warada. Dada keke dure nan den ba ande telare. Sama keke haya yaso. Keke na gaden leza haya ila goza yasana so allan faida tiyan gunya kam keke mado. A
husband to 2 and father to 14 children, Furso Ibrahim treks every day from Pompom Gajagaja to Masoyan Kifi to earn a means of survival depending on other people's sewing machine.
Kuna da rimomin biyar kazi canji sanana ya andi azak sana. Canji sanana ndarman ba. A yor yakayu me anyoro yor ndikalakta ay ba. Kaman zai anyoro
Shopkeepers and service providers argue that the absence of denominations such as 20, 50, 100 and 200 naira is hampering their ability to conduct transactions smoothly. Trade by barter is what some businessmen and women, as well as inhabitants of the communities, have to resort to.
If you go to buy pure water now and you give 100 naira or a loaf of bread, they tell you it is 120 or 130. There is no two way about it. It's either you pay 150 or you leave the bread. And if you pay that 150, you know he did not earn that 30 naira. So that loaf of bread has been overvalued by 30 naira. This will also cause artificial inflationary pressure on the economy because of the 30 naira or 20 naira you sacrifice or you forgo. There are basic necessities in life that you cannot do without, and it means you have to be losing where you have the chance. You have to be losing. Baga or Lake Chad, as I said earlier, is a multi-billion-naira sector, and if these smaller denominations or fractions of money are expanded that way, you discover that hundreds of millions will be flowing. That is outside the scope, and as I said earlier, that will cause artificial or additional inflation. And the second thing is psychologically the smaller denominations will lose their value in the eyes and the minds of the people.
Many businesses are unable to provide change, leading to customer dissatisfaction and a decrease in sales. This issue is compounding the difficulties faced by the communities after years of insurgency, which had already strained the local economy. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
From the north to the southwestern part of Nigeria, early on Saturday, Adesina Gungala, former chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association Ikeja branch, celebrated his 60th birthday. Widely known as Sherubawan, Gungala was honored for his significant contributions and impactful ideas over the decades in the Nigerian judicial sphere. News Central's Bettina Anwili reports.
Adesina Gungala, affectionately known as Sherubawan, has dedicated his life to transformative change and advocacy. From his grassroots initiatives to his profound writings, his work continues to resonate across various fields.
He's a man that believes in justice. He can go to any length, even at the risk of his own life, to ensure that the right thing is done.
During the course of the event, marking his 60th birthday in Lagos, the keynote speaker, Dele Farotimi, lawyer and political activist, expanded the conversation on the way forward on rebranding the Nigerian Bar Association in line with the current happenings in the country.
And it is sad and at the same time pathetic that as lawyers, we have time and time again failed the Nigerian masses. It is not just that we have failed, it is also that the struggles, the contributions of people who were like us, or greater than us, who came before us, it is as if those things they have lived for, they have struggled for, has not materialized.
When you say you are on a quest for justice, it becomes important to define what it is you are referring to when you speak the word justice. Justice comes from Old French, justice. It means uprightness, equity, vindication of right, administration of law. Is talking to a system by which people get their rights upheld, by which the people walk away your financial capacity, your position in the society. There are so many factors that determines whether you get justice in the courts or not. If you are one of the two emirs of Kano and you require an injunction speedily, you might get one granted by Zoom.
While the Nigerian bar and bench, which comprises the legal profession and judiciary, are not inherently in breach of trust, there are concerns about breaches of trust that could arise in specific instances. Efforts to address these concerns include reforms, stricter enforcement of ethical standards, and improved mechanisms for accountability and transparency. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
I'll tell you that Mali's army and its Russian allies suffered a major setback and significant losses while fighting separatists in the country's north. The West African nation's military leaders who took part in a 2020 coup have made it a priority to retake all of the country from separatist and jihadi forces, particularly in Kidal, a pro-independence northern bastion. Spokesman for the CSP-DPA alliance, Mohamed El Maloud Ramadani, said their forces decisively obliterated the Mali army and its allies on Saturday, and a large amount of equipment and weapons were seized or damaged and prisoners taken. Mali has been unsettled by violence by jihadi and criminal groups since 2012. At least 19 people have drowned when their boat sank in a river in Ethiopia's northern Amara region, the region's official media said on Sunday. The Amara Media Corporation added that 7 people, including a child, were saved in difficult circumstances. The boat was taking passengers across the Tekezi River, which runs along Ethiopia's border with Eritrea, before it crosses into Sudan at the point where the 3 countries meet. 26 people were estimated to have been on board at the time of the accident at around noon on Saturday. The Amara Media Corporation said only 2 bodies had been recovered, adding that those rescued had been taken to nearby hospitals. Algeria's defense ministry said on Sunday that military forces have killed 3 dangerous terrorists during a raid in the country's north. Authorities regularly report terrorist killings after often referring to armed Islamist groups that have remained active in a northern area in the country years after a civil war which ended in 2002. It named the 3 slain men as Deba Boumediene, Amneche Ibrahim, and Alali Muhammad, without elaborating on their group affiliation. According to the statement, 2 Kalashnikov-type submachine guns, ammunition, and 2 other objects were seized during the military operation. Moving on now, 7 people have died in a stampede at a stadium in the Democratic Republic of Congo capital, Kinshasa. The incident happened at the state dormitories in the north of the city during a concert by Congolese gospel singer Mike Kalambayi on Saturday. Several people were admitted to intensive care from the stampede that occurred in the stadium with a capacity of 80,000 people. Event organizers, Majabu Gospel, said 30,000 people had attended the concert. Looking at stories from other continents now, Senator Kamala Harris, during her first public speech, said she wants to regain the trust of Americans after announcing that she is seeking to become the first African-American woman to hold the office of U.S. president. She also comments on the shutdown, saying Donald Trump is holding the American people hostage over a vanity project that he calls a wall. Harris's presidential campaign said it brought in $200 million in the 1 week since President Biden exited the race and endorsed Harris, as the bulk of the Democratic Party has rallied behind her campaign and bolstered the late entry into the race.
The American people hostage over a vanity project that he calls a wall, while 800,000 people are trying to figure out how they're going to pay their rent, how they're going to pay their mortgage. It is completely irresponsible. And those folks don't want a wall, they want a paycheck. So let's be clear about what should be the priorities of this administration. Get the government back up and running. The core of my campaign is the people. It's about the people. As with any one of us, we all have lives that are complex. We are a diverse country, yes. And some people would suggest that in diversity, when there is a diverse population, one cannot achieve unity. I reject that notion because this is my belief. Yes, we are diverse, and we have so much more in common than what separates us.
Meanwhile, the United States and Japan have criticized China and Russia following high-level discussions on enhancing already close defense collaboration in Tokyo. A joint statement issued after talks in Tokyo between U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, and their Japanese counterparts said China's foreign policy seeks to reshape the international order for its own benefit at the expense of others. They also reiterated their strong objections to China's unlawful maritime claims, militarization of reclaimed features, and threatening and provocative activities in the South China Sea. The communique also criticized Russia's growing and provocative strategic military cooperation with China, as well as Moscow's procurement of ballistic missiles and other material from North Korea for use against Ukraine.
The United States will upgrade the U.S. Forces Japan to a joint force headquarters with expanded missions and operational responsibilities. Now, this will be the most significant change to U.S. Forces Japan since its creation, and one of the strongest improvements in our military ties with Japan in 70 years. Japan's new Joint Operations Command will further allow our forces to work together more closely than ever. And these new operational capabilities and
Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on Sunday vowed to hit the enemy hard after rocket fire from Lebanon killed 12 young people in the Israeli-annexed Golan Heights and again raised fears that the war in Gaza would spread. Iran warned Israel any new military adventures in Lebanon could lead to unforeseen consequences. Western powers, including France and Germany, condemned the attack and appealed for calm. The European Union called for an independent probe into what happened. Israel's army called it the deadliest attack on Israeli civilians since the October 7 attack that began the war in Gaza and triggered regular exchanges of fire across the Lebanese border.
ראיתי בעיניי את זירת האירוע, מקום שבו נרצחו ילדות וילדים תמימים במשחק כדורגל. דם של ילדים ישראלים איננו הפקר ולא יהיה הפקר לעולם. עברתי לפיקוד הצפון כדי לראות את תוכניות התגובה. מדובר על חיזבאללה שליחה של איראן באזור. חיזבאללה לא ינקה מהאירוע הזה, גם בהכחשות המגוחכות שלו. הוא ירה את הירי, הוא יישא במחיר, והוא ישלם מחיר כבד על פעולותיו.
Talking sports now, Bay FC forward Aziza Doshoala has been recalled to the starting lineup for the Super Falcons as they prepare to face Spain this evening at the Stade de la Bourgeois Louis Fontenot. This crucial second group encounter at the Paris 2024 Women's Football event sees Doshoala's return after she was not included in the starting 11 against Brazil in their previous match. Nigeria will be hoping for a strong performance against the reigning world champions, and Doshoala's inclusion is expected to significantly boost their offensive capabilities. Her absence in the game against Brazil highlighted the need for experience and skill, prompting coach Randy Waldrum to make these important adjustments. Also in the starting lineup are notable players such as goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie, defender Glory Odona, and captain Rashidat Ajibade, among others. As the Super Falcons take on Spain, they aim for their first win in the group stage after the opening loss against Brazil. Now, South African artistic gymnast Caitlin Rosecrans has sustained an injury in the women's artistic gymnastics qualifying round at the Olympic Game in Paris 2024. The two-time uneven bars gold medalist in the FIG World Cup Series was to compete in the all-round balance beam, floor exercise, uneven bars, and vault. However, she could not finish the qualifying round and has been left in the blur situation after she injured her right foot during her floor routine. In the uneven bars, she earned a 13.733 score, soaring past Ukraine's Anna Lashkevska 13.033 in scoring, and Switzerland's Lena Bickel, who earned 12.266. Meanwhile, in the beam balance, the 2022 African all-round champion scored 11.333, and in the floor exercise, she came out with 10.866 before the injury sidelined her from taking part in the vault. Xu Yu of China won gold in a dream Olympic debut, displaying the poise of a veteran in the men's 10-meter air pistol event today. She won another gold from the Châteauroux Shooting Center after China had won the 10-meter air rifle mixed team event on Saturday. She beat Italian Federico Nilo Maldini, who took the silver medal, while Paolo Mona claimed bronze with clear daylight between the top three and the rest of the field. She carried a wafer-thin cushion of 0.4 going into the final shot after Maldini had reduced the gap in the elimination section. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, we take a look at some of our top stories. We told you earlier that terrorists raided Jakana police station in Borno State, leaving casualties. Nigerian telcos accused of plans to restrict internet access during nationwide protest. We also told you that 7 dead, several injured in DR Congo concert stampede. Don't forget to send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number and email on the screen. You can follow us on social media via @NewsCentralTV, and you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.